You know, life's too short to settle for less. You deserve the best. I like how you like how
Welcome back to the Petty in the Post web show. I am one of your hosts, eCreates88, aka Edwin Garcia, and we have the petty this way, the pettiest Laker fan.
The
How you
pettiest
doing,
never
Petty?
do it, baby. I'm good, man. How are you doing, brother?
Good, man. I can't wait. Now we're starting to get a little bit more. It's getting a little spicy. You know, we want to talk about wembanyama, really big prospect. Literally, he's literally a tall prospect,
Yeah.
7'4".
Man,
And
you
we're
be
gonna
saying
talk
that
about
name
him
with
in Vegas.
confidence. I'll be reading off a page and still like sweating on each
Oh
syllable.
no, I'm definitely sweating. I'm worried. Like a year later, they're gonna be like, "Can you believe this guy didn't know this guy's name?"
Yeah, you fat hoe.
We're talking about Wembanyama, and we're also, even it's getting a little cooler, but we're still in that pool party phase here. So we're gonna talk about Jordan Poole and Draymond kind of getting into a little bit of a slapboxing contest there, and many other things going on in the NBA and in culture in general. So we'll start with Wembanyama. Petty, let me know. Talk to me a little bit about your experience these past couple of days. Did you watch the full games? Did you see the clips? Get the highlights? What's been your experience with this? Highly rated prospect.
You know, I remember last time we talked, I hadn't seen a lot of him. I had seen like a couple clips. I watched all the highlights and a lot of the game. I was kind of in and out of it while I was doing other things because a lot of those games outside of the player, you don't really care. The player himself. And man, that kid is impressive. That is, I was like telling people on Twitter, like if you know how like right now if you make a new character on NBA 2K, it'll give you your player comps. I was like, if you made this character in NBA 2K, you're getting like a Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and Kristaps Porzingis like comp. Like to me, that's like he looks like all three of those combined, And like I saw that I don't know if you saw that picture of him with Rudy Gobert.
That was today. Yeah.
Yeah, he was making Rudy Gobert look like his little brother. So, yeah, I mean, this guy is impressive. I think we're going to see, like, historic types of tanking this season to try and position themselves for this. What do you think?
Yeah, I was in a group chat with a lot of NBA people, basketball fans and stuff, and I told them, like, man, I think Pop's going to give me a 10-day. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to find the way. This has San Antonio written all over it. Massive tanking and getting these players. Same thing as you. I watched a little bit here, a little bit there. I didn't watch much of today at all. I was busy doing other stuff, but I did see the highlights, and I watched a lot more of the first game. And then in highlights as well, kind of looking back, oh, this play was crazy. This play was really crazy. I look at the angle here. This player is extraordinary. This is like, I don't like to say once in a generation because I feel like, greatness is still rare. But at the end of the day, like, a player like LeBron does come every 10 years, which is a long time, but also not. So if you watch basketball your whole life, you're going to see a few Kareem, Magic, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron stuff, right? But this guy is truly special. He's in that that kind of hype. The last player I've seen hype this much was honestly probably LeBron and Zion.
Lonzo.
You think Lonzo had this kind of hype?
Dude, Lonzo was on... it was a different type of hype. You know what I mean? I think people were wanting him to fail because of the thing. But people always like to skip that over because of him not ending up being like this, generational player. But dude, I'll tell you, Zion didn't sell out Summer League. You know what I mean? Like his,
right.
The way that the every single Laker game was filled to the brim. So I want to make sure we give our respect because that was a moment in history that I feel like people kind of graze over just because it didn't necessarily work out the way that they wanted to. But that Lonzo hype was insane, dude. Like people wanted to see, and in Summer League, to his credit, even with those messed up shoes, he performed. He won Summer League MVP. So.
Yeah, he backed it up. That was incredible. Well, this to me still is. I put this higher so far, and then we're not even close to the end of this, right? Like he's going to play a lot more. The season hasn't started. We're talking about a draft prospect a year out. So it's only going to get crazier. The more highlights he gets, the more run he gets. And then when we see the teams tanking, that's going to make people even more excited. I think we're going to start seeing those. The Sixers were notorious for like the percentage they have of getting that number one pick. I think we're going to start seeing like ESPN putting up graphics of like the race for number one and getting the highest points for that.
I will walk that back a little bit if we're talking about like purely high school, high school hype. I definitely think probably last person like this is LeBron and Zion. Because I don't think everyone was like hyped about Lonzo and the brothers playing together, but it wasn't like the same way. I mean, they were blowing that Chino Hills team is like supposed to be considered like the greatest high school team ever. The way they were just kind of blowing everybody out. But it wasn't like a Lonzo only thing. So I'll walk that back. But I think Apex, like going into the league, he's still up there. So
yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I can agree with that. And it's really hard. And people are saying, "Oh, don't overrate him." I'm like, listen, this is when it's this special. Like you kind of can't. He's either going to be a bust or he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like that's already the standard. Just like LeBron, you have two options. You're either going to be what people say, or everyone's going to remember, like, oh, remember that guy we said was going to be like Jordan? Like, LOL, he's out the league, or he was just a role player or whatever. So the pressure is definitely, yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, Anthony Bennett. Greg Oden due to injuries, of course. Grant Hill due to injuries, of course. A lot of times injuries get some of these guys, which is, of course, always a possibility.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, Penny, without a doubt, would have been like a first ballot Hall of Famer, like. And I think he at least gets one championship at some point in his career, man. If he does,
he already made it to the finals, right? And he was extremely young with Shaq. That was a great group, but injuries and all the moving and trades and all that got into it.
Thank you, Magic, for that. We appreciate you guys. Seriously, just giving up maybe one of the most dominant forces in all of NBA history. We appreciate you.
Yeah, that poll guy, they got ratioed real bad. But yeah, I'm excited for Wembanyama. I can't wait to see more of him, and yeah, he might truly be an incredible player. It kind of shows how far the NBA's come. I remember when I first heard about Yao Ming. That's another one of those players that was very hyped, right? Oh, he's so tall, he's so tall. I remember one of the things I saw in the scouting report. This is like 2004 or whatever. They're like, oh, he's got a little bit of a three-point shot. He might actually be one of those centers who can shoot a little. And I remember reading it at the time, right, 2004 or whatever. I was like, 7-footers can't shoot threes, man. This is you took it too far, right? I get he's big and dominant. He's not about to pull up for a three. And of course, that was right. He shot like 5 threes in his career, right? That's not part of his game. 7-footers don't shoot threes. That's not true anymore. This guy is shooting threes. He's a bucket getter. KD's shooting threes. So it's crazy how much the NBA is advanced.
And let's be more specific than that, because he's not just shooting like Kelly Olynyk spaced the floor wide open, like spot up, like a Brook Lopez threes. No, we're talking about like those Kevin Durant come up, pull up behind the screen, shoot a three in transition threes, like those NBA 2K player my extended range badge threes.
Yeah, so they're calling the play. It's not like, oh, if you're open, shoot it. It's I'm bringing the ball up. I'm gonna get a side ball screen on the wing, and I'm gonna hit a corner three. I'm running like you said. I'm running hammer actions and getting. They're setting picks for me to shoot the three. Like this play is designed for me to shoot.
Like
a three.
That is our best crazy option to score. Like that's
that's what we want to do. We want to find him in the 3-point line to score. So yeah, it's been pretty incredible. Yeah, hopefully I get to catch him. I thought about going out there because, it was pretty much, open to the public. You just got to get tickets, whatever. I thought about it. It was the middle of the week, and the drive to Vegas from Los Angeles is an adventure, especially in the middle of the week. But I'm going to see if I can catch him live before, he declares for the draft and actually, is available.
Yeah, hey, let me know, man. I'll pull up.
Yeah.
I never get to see the prospects in high schok because I like I said, just trying to keep up with the NBA is difficult enough, and then I'm trying to start branching off and supporting the WNBA, and then you have like me making also Lakers focused content too. So it's like it's so much to even. I take my hats off to the people who are like, yeah, I called that guy in middle school that he was going to be something special. I'm like, man.
It's a real full-time job, to do the draft scouting. I tried it once, like one year when the Lakers were still kind of good, I think like 2020 or 2019, I was like, you know what? This summer, we had a few draft picks. I'm like, I'm going to really know these draft picks. And I realized how impossible it was because they had like the 27th pick. So I was like, okay, so then theoretically I should know the top 50. So then I'll know who they draft because I don't know who they're going to draft. So to really like have an opinion on all the players, I probably got to go like 50 deep. You know how hard it is to watch tape on 50 prospects when they might draft one? And I was like, yeah, this is too hard. I'm not going to try this next year. So, it's a full-time job for real. That's like, if you want to get into the draft, that's a job in and of itself. It's pretty wild.
I had an opportunity to sit in the NBA class for a little bit in summer league. The guy who does it, I met him there and I made an impression on him, so he let me come and sit in for a bit. And I actually sat in during the scouting part. And the guy was saying is like, you're actually working on it all year, so that when the draft comes along, by the time that comes along, you already have it done. There's sometimes that adjustments are made, but by the time that the draft happens, like before even the off season is there, you already know who the top like 50, 100, and you know each person on which team and all that stuff. So you're right, it is a full-time thing. You're doing it. You're preparing a year in advance, so. You understand why those people are so highly touted, you know what I mean? And why it's a unique thing, as Laker fans to have, like, Jesse Buss, because the difference between someone like Jesse Buss and another scout is that he can't go to another franchise. You can't lose that talent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So him being skilled at doing that is, like, so invaluable, to the team. But
especially for a team that has lower draft picks, so they don't get to pick from the best. It's really hard to hit at 30, 40, 28 compared to like, you're more likely to get it right if you got the top 5 pick because there's probably a lot of good options, so it makes that job even harder.
And even ones that the Lakers don't take up themselves, like even Matt McClung, he's over there. The Warriors saw something in him, right, to have him on a two-way or on a contract there. So it's like you see even the ones that they don't necessarily go forward with, someone else is like, oh well, we're gonna do that. So I'm go ahead.
Speaking of the Warriors,
yes.
that leads us to the next
segue?
Thing. Yeah, it was a good segue. We have ourselves a pool party going on in the Bay.
Yeah.
So this came up yesterday. I don't know. Hopefully Dalton can pull up just like one of the Shams Charania tweets or something. This came up yesterday, just out of nowhere. That there was an altercation between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. It's not Draymond Green's first altercation with a star in Golden State.
Draymond? He's usually so peaceable and relaxed.
Yeah, something about guys on their contract year. He gets into it with them. So again, it's not as serious as the Ime Udoka story, but it is a developing story. So we don't have all the facts. We might never have the facts on this one because this one's really one that they do want to sweep under the rug because it's negative. Players fighting each other like. You probably just kind of hope we can probably just move on from that, right? So here's thank you, Dalton, so much. I appreciate it.
No, we don't get to move on for that because all summer long, these Warrior fans and these different NBA teams, they want to pile on anytime the Lakers do anything. So we're going to make sure that we do our due diligence as true, real journalists. Look, I'm a journalist now. We got to
do a Netflix original, 8-part series, pool party.
The slap.
A Draymond Green story.
Exactly. 30 for 30, the slap.
What if I told you?
Exactly. So,
it was lit at the pool party.
Exactly.
All right, so here's the Shams tweet. Shout out to Dalton. Thank you so much. He said, Shams Charania tweeted out, when a chest-to-chest interaction with guard Jordan Poole escalated, Green forcibly struck Poole, and both needed to be separated swiftly, sources said. Developing story at The Athletic. So, Petty, where were you when the shot heard around the world happened in Golden State?
I thought it was just going to be a normal day.
I was ready for the Laker game. We got the news AD was out, and then we heard Poole is really out.
Yeah, Poole's really out, knocked out. He's knocked out. So I initially heard this, and I always don't think too much of it any story that comes out at first, especially after some of the reporting that was done over some very serious things, I've been a lot slower to move.
Right.
Shout out to Woj for maybe the worst tweet, like reporting tweet of all time, and Shams for a almost as bad one following it. But I'm kind of slow to it. But then I'm like, wait, an altercation, like for it to be an altercation, because people argue and get in fights all the time in any type of sports setting. It's just natural. It's adrenaline. You have to have a certain level of ego to even compete and be like, have the audacity to be like, I can shoot this shot from half court or from from behind the three, or try to dunk on this person. You have to have a certain level of like that. So for it to be reported on, it means it probably had to be pretty serious. And my sources have told me, they broke it down and told me that it's Draymond has a chip on his shoulder, and that Jordan Poole has a little bit too much dip on his chip. And that was what they gave to me. Which, if you ask Warriors fans, this is something that's like kind of been brewing. This isn't like a new situation. So
right,
yeah.
I've heard the same kind of things, especially when you even watch Jordan Poole and kind of how he acts. He kind of acts like Curry and Clay do. He's got that energy. You've seen him before. He's sticking his tongue out. He's wagging around. He's inspired by the baddies. Like they're having fun over there in the Bay, and they're like that. Curry's an expressive player. Clay's an expressive player. Draymond's an expressive player. Probably the most humble, quiet one who's actually really good is probably Wiggins. He doesn't really even when he does a good job, he kind of just goes back on defense. Poole is loud. Poole is loud.
He kind of showed his emotion for the first time. I remember we had that dunk in the finals or in the Western Conference finals.
Right.
I was like, wait, he really doesn't show a whole lot of emotion or anything like that,
Yeah, Poole was so I'm not surprised, because I felt that way about Poole for a while. I'm like, he seems pretty cocky, pretty arrogant. But like you said, that's kind of what's needed, and especially in a team like that. And he's also producing. But there's a fine line between being cocky and arrogant, and it's heartwarming and endearing. And there's a point where it wears thin, or on the wrong day, it can just maybe Poole didn't even do anything different than how he normally acts, but it was just the wrong day. And Draymond found out, Poole found out from Draymond that, hey, I'm getting sick of it, and something has to be done. So it sounds like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I personally, I'm offended. My feelings are hurt. I'm stumbled and discouraged, and I think the NBA should really take serious action. I think that they should make it so that Poole can't resign, and he has to go to like a franchise that's kind of on the up and coming, needing to struggle, like to the Lakers, like with a discount.
Oh my god! Like that. Wow, that's a sick agenda there. I thought you were gonna go Academy Award him like a 10-year ban.
Oh no, that's what I want from Draymond. I want Draymond to have a 10-year ban on the league, and I think Curry should only be able to shoot with his left hand going forward. So
he probably would still shoot above the average.
Yeah,
he's probably 36%.
He would still probably be the best shooter in the league, which is disgusting.
It'll be interesting to see. Again, people are, especially a lot of Warriors fans, like, oh, this is nothing. Like, you guys trying to overplay it. I'm like, well, it might be something, Like, we're going to have to wait and see. Everyone's going to say the right things right now, right? Which, Steph's done, and he's kind of throw cold water on it. But, actions speak louder. Like, there was a fight. There's discrepancies. We'll see how it goes.
I think, really, it's going to be more about what contracts get signed before the beginning of the season, before the season start, and in the season. I think that really is the conversation. I think that's either going to end the conversation if certain contracts get signed, or it's going to be a constant, negative thing. And personally, I'm here for the drama. I want anything that weakens their franchise. I want it as as to the front as possible.
In the first game, that Lakers Warriors game, I know the heckles that are going to come at Draymond, from the Poole stuff. That's going to be interesting for sure. There's a lot of trash talk that's going to be happening, on that night. Even though it'll be, I believe, in Golden State, and it's so again, it's a classic saying, but it's a saying that's known for a reason, right? If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. so similar to the KD scenario, right? Contract year. There's beef about that. It escalates. There's an altercation. And then, they claim that was part of the reason. Obviously, we know it was more injuries for KD and the Warriors, but they mentioned that was kind of the end of, like, they knew it was kind of no coming back from that. So I'll be really curious to see, again, same thing. Draymond again in the same scuffle, but now it's a different player. It's Poole. And it's a little twisted, right? Because before it was KD probably is going to leave, but he's not talking about it, right? And that's what Draymond was mad about. He's like, I feel like you're setting us up because now we're getting asked about this and you're not being honest. Just tell us if you're leaving. All you got to do is say it and we can move on, but you're not, and it's becoming a distraction. And now it's the opposite. It's not the players, it's the ownership. Draymond wants his money. He might feel that he's not getting it because they're waiting to see what's going to happen with Poole and his money, and he's frustrated. He's not getting answers on his contract, and this guy's over here showboating or whatever. And it creates that tension, like you mentioned. And if what happens if Draymond gets told, look, man, like, we're going to see what happens at the end of the year. We're not going to pay you. We're not going to resign you. In his mind, he might be like, you know what? This is the last year. Like, F this, man. Like, I'm going to still be a professional, but, like, I'm out. And this is it. And that's just not a good mentality when you have to go out there and, get after it night in and night out.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Draymond Green podcast entitled Poolishness. Poolishness to come out, of him. He's like, yeah, I had to go, I had to put my hands on the young lad. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be, it'd be interesting if he addresses it at all.
He has to. Even with the media, he has to. It's the first question. The first question is going to be asked, when's the last time you talked to him? What's your relationship like? What happened? That's the first thing that's going to be asked if the journalists in the room have any sense at all. It's the obvious question to ask. You don't want to ask, hey, what's going on with the wings in Toronto? It's like, no. I want to know what's going on with the wings in your roster right now. Exactly. We're fighting them pretty good. So we'll see. Maybe there's trouble in Golden State. Maybe they resolve it enough, and hey, the X's and O's don't matter. But I'm definitely going to be really curious to see what happens there.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an ongoing storyline if Draymond doesn't get paid before the season starts, and I think it'll be, I think it could be toxic to their overall success. I think that Draymond to his defense is a professional guy. He's not the type of person who's gonna. I don't think he's the type of guy who kind of will thrive in that situation, though it could affect other people. Like it might affect Poole more than it affects Draymond. Draymond's gonna go out there and do what he has to do. Previously, the last time I think you mentioned about the KD contract thing. To me, the thing that was more toxic was Draymond's comments, because it's like kind of the same thing that all the players and everyone's been saying are that like what people were to try and discount Kevin Durant. Like, we can do this without you, right? We have done it without you. So to me, that was more of a thing, and I think Draymond can, as much as he can be the person who galvanizes a team and gives them that edge, he can also be damaging like that on the same end, because it takes a certain type of person to be able to play with someone like that. You have to be the type of person who doesn't hold things against people or like can let things go, because Draymond's going to mean it maybe at that time, or just say it because it can hurt your feelings. And you have to be able to like adapt that. And honestly, I feel like people like Draymond respect you more if you don't let those things bother you, and then it ends up being like not an issue. But I feel like someone like KD, who like is known to hold vitriol and kind of be one of those people where he kind of takes it all inside and then lets it out on some unsuspecting teenager with a Steph Curry Avi. I think that you have to be careful, right? And you have to have a different approach. So I don't know. I think Draymond, he's gonna decide whether this season is good or bad, for that team.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It'll again. It not that it was boring. The Golden State Warriors are always an interesting team. They're clearly the champs. They're the champs until someone knocks them out. So they were interesting, but it just adds another layer, another ripple to the drama. And we love drama here on the Petting the Post web show.
Yes, sir. So I want to talk a little bit about something, because I feel like I don't want to make it a bigger thing that it is, but I feel like it is something that should be part of the conversation. This season is big for LeBron because it's he's potentially going to pass Kareem on the all-time scoring list. which is a giant thing, right? For someone who people say is not a great scorer, right? Who don't put him in the conversation as like an all-time great scorer, right? So for me, it's kind of, I think it's important to talk about, he was asked, about his relationship with Kareem. And, Kareem has been very vocal in his how would I say, criticism of following generations, and some people are somewhat apathetic to his opinion because sometimes it comes off as hypocritical. I think, with every generation, one thing that I've noticed is like, there's always a disconnect because it's like, hey, this is the way that things were done during my generation and things are changing. And I think that now that things are being made easier, especially in some cases when it comes to business and money, there's kind of some resentment there because these older players didn't get the money, but they laid the groundwork for these players who are coming now to get paid. So for me, it's kind of like, I think this is actually an important story, and it's kind of, he was asked about, what his relationship was with Kareem, and if he had any thoughts about him, and he said, no thoughts and no relationship. So I want to know, what did you think about that situation?
Yeah, he not only said no thoughts, no relationship. That's all he said. So again, it's not only what he said, it's how he said. He said no thoughts, no relationship. Period. And he didn't elaborate. He didn't say, "Oh, no thoughts, no relationship." But like, I'm always here, or maybe one day. No, that was it. Sunglasses on. You can't read my face. I'm out of here. So it was a little. I was kind of surprised how cold it was. I didn't think it was that cold, or I didn't think it was gonna be that cold. I was like, oh, that's almost like a not. I don't want to say an FU, but kind of like Oh, do you know him? No, I don't know him. Done. It's like, okay, what's going on there? Yeah. So I definitely felt the coldness there. And as you know, Kareem's been very critical of players like LeBron, players like Kyrie when he disagrees with them. He's been pretty vocal, and some of that's fair, right?
Yeah,
that's his opinion, right? And we know Kareem's an activist. We also know, or if you know your history with the Lakers, Kareem's a bit of a difficult guy sometimes too, right? He used to resent Magic. Now I think years have kind of gone by, but he was kind of jealous of his favoritism, and he's so cool with the owner, and like he's the young buck, I'm the veteran, but he's getting all the love, but I'm the guy, I'm the MVP, I'm the whole shebang here. And why is everyone kind of gravitating towards this little kid who just smiles nice? Why is he even smiling? Like, we're here to work. There was always those things. Again, now years pass, they're just friends, and it's all squashed. But there's definitely resentment there. We know Kareem can be difficult. We know he can be a jerk. He can be a jerk to fans. He can be kind of cold. So, I think the truth's always in the middle. Some people are like, oh, Kareem's just a sweetheart activist, and he's calling LeBron out. He doesn't like it. And then people are like, oh, LeBron, he's just a hater on LeBron. I'm like, I think it's somewhere in the middle. They probably disagree on a few things and don't see eye to eye out idealistically. And like you said, it's that competition as well. Guys taking, your accolades there. You don't like some of his antics. And there's just disagreement, and that's why I don't think there's animosity, but maybe that's why there's no relationship.
See, to me, I feel like, especially in that type of position of you being like an all-time great, if I was in that position to where I was gonna be critiquing and actively doing that, I feel like I would want to have a relationship with that person, because it's like, if anybody should understand what it's like to be like a person who's not necessarily like understood all the time, and to be in that position where they're in the spotlight and viewed, Kareem's washed, right? Remember?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what the headline was, but it was just like, about after that massacre, right? So to me, I feel like it should be Kareem, and you should be wanting to have a relationship. If you feel strong enough to be able to like critique him, and it's not like he's like some guy off the street who's critiquing him. Like, he's not Platchkey, right? Just he's not like a guy like someone who's just from a news article who's like his job is to report it, right? He's choosing to do this.
They're peers in that degree. Yeah, they're both athletes, both Lakers.
So to me, I feel like if you do that, you basically like burn these bridges. So like, when a younger player who's been criticized for your entire career, without any and don't get me wrong, he has like also given very positive like praise to LeBron for some of the activist things that he has, and some criticism, has been warranted. But I think when you don't have that relationship, it comes off as like bitter, right? And you don't have that.
Yeah.
If they were friends and he was to say that, then people would look at it and be like, oh, I think it's valid critique. But when you don't have a relationship, it just comes off as hating, and I think that's the big issue.
So hopefully it gets resolved. This year he's going to pass it. I'm sure Kareem's going to be in that building, so I hope they at least can, have some conversations, or maybe they have and they don't want to talk about it. I don't know. We'll see. But that's another developing story because he's chasing that record now, and at this point, barring injury, it's inevitable. So that's going to be a historic night as well.
I just know from here on out, if somebody asks me like about someone I don't want to talk about, I'm just gonna be like, no comment, no relationship. And just move on. Because I'm telling you, that is
enough said. Yeah,
I have that video ready for anything in the future. I got screenshots of video ready. Listen, tell me something. Bring up somebody I don't want to talk about. I promise you. That's what I'm here.
No.
Good friend. No comment. No. But yeah. So let's move on to our sneaker story of the night that we're gonna close things off with. This is like one of my favorite stories ever. We had mentioned, I think a month ago, that about the release of the sulfur colorway of the Tom Sachs boring sneaker silhouette, and it released last week. And when it released, instead of it going through like, just Nike or some of these hyped places where they do the kind of like elite releases, they, with no warning, they were just released at Kohls.
So yes, you shared this. Yeah. Yes. This was amazing.
This naturally went viral, and I loved it because people were mad about it. Like, to me, that, like, people were like, "Oh, I'm not gonna buy this shoe now because it was from Kohls." One of my friends on Twitter, she's a sneaker content creator, and she had shared her thoughts about that too. Is like, shout out to TJ, and she straight up was just like roasting people for that, because it's like, why does it matter where a sneaker's released at? It just shows that a lot of people who are into sneakers for some of the wrong reasons. Like, I promise you, like, getting a fresh pair of sneakers is not gonna like bring you up the social a ladder after you finish high school. All those things that you thought mattered so much in high school about having the freshest fit, all that stuff, the second you finish school and you're in the real world, you're like, well, I have the freshest fit. How come I'm only making minimum wage? It's not gonna help you. So I loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think it was great marketing. Just kind of a surprise. Like, I mean, my dad's got like a lot of Kohls cash, so maybe he can cop himself a pair there. But it was a cool story. It was a shock, and yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm kind of a hipster that way. I like to get stuff in different places. Of course, I've used like StockX and Go before, and the Nike app. But I like going to the mall and saying, you know what, I'm gonna just try to find a good Nike shoe that I just kind of like. That's like, I don't know, around $100. That looks kind of cool. That maybe nobody's rocking, and I'm just like, it looks cool. And then people are like, hey, what's that? I'm like, I don't even know. It's like the Track Runner 4 or something. It looks nice though, right? So again, it's what you want it to be, but what it shouldn't be is some kind of elitist. It's got to be, the supreme dropper. I'm not gonna, do it. I'm like, to me that's where it's kind of almost bordering on toxic. You got to kind of check yourself about why you're doing. You should be doing it because you like it, not because you think it's some kind of social status.
Yes, listen, if they're hanging on racks in Walmart, I love it. Like, like if they're hanging little racks in Walmart, I love it. Like, as long as the shoe's high quality and I like it, I'm gonna wear it, and that's just the end of it. Like, I do understand, like, I'm into some of the hype beast culture. I think there's a section of sneakers that are like that and should be like that,
100%.
I think part of that is the spectacle and the art sometimes of it, you know what I mean? Of it being like, if you have something that's for friends and family, it's special because it's this special thing that Nike's allowing you to do, and it's a gift to those people. Shouldn't be where anybody that comes out the next month, for everybody. Right. But a lot of these sneakers, people are only buying them to resell for the business aspect of it. And I get it, get your money, but it's just kind of lame the way that's affected the culture, like in this one. And to close out today, I do want to ask you: did you get a chance to see the third episode of Andor yet?
I'm caught up on Andor. I'm just one shy of what's that Marvel show? Oh, no, I'm caught up on everything, so I'm good to go now. I'm loving it so far.
Me too. Do you like the more serious tone?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's starting to build up now, where I think this is getting up to like the best thing Marvel's done minus. It's not Marvel. Star Wars has done minus, like the original trilogy. So it's living up to all the expectations I wanted. The pacing started off a little slow, but now that we're into it, yeah, I'm really loving it.
Yeah, me too. I'm enjoying it a lot. I feel like the third episode though, right? That was the one where you had like it made sense. Like the first two episodes to me was a little bit slow, and then that third episode, I felt like it opened things up and kind of give you like more of a positive, like, oh, okay, I see where they're going with this. Like it had like more of an optimistic ending, where it was not just like kind of dreary. So I like
dreary on the run and that kind of thing. Yeah. It gave it direction and purpose, so that's good.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it. I think. That's the only thing I wanted to say. Also, if you're tuning in, I am going to be starting to go live following Laker games on Twitch. I'm going to be playing right now. I'm doing a playthrough through God of War before the upcoming game for that comes out next month. So I'm going to be playing through that at the end of each game. I'll be going tonight. Today is the 6th. You probably won't see this until the 7th or 8th, but tonight after the game, I'm going to go talk Lakers. So you should join up, and if you're into gaming or just want to talk Lakers, holla at your boy.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Anything you're working on?
I'm still writing. I'm trying to do as many game recaps as I can for the Lakers, at least for preseason. Then I'm going to see what's like a good cadence for me on the regular season. I won't do one for the Thursday game because we got like Scottie Pippen Jr. starting. No offense, Scottie Pippen Jr. But it's a back-to-back in preseason, which is ridiculous to have, but money, Vegas, that's why they're doing it. I'll be writing a recap of the Sunday game for Monday morning, and I'll keep on doing all the game recaps the day after until the preseason is over. So that's what I'll be doing on Lakers-Takes.com.
Word. You guys heard it right here. Again, I am the pettiest Laker fan, a.k.a. Darian, a.k.a. the pettiest to ever do it, at the pettiest LA. You can find me at that on all social media. And then we have Edwin Garcia, eCreates88, going to be the future of this NBA media. So
I appreciate that. We're working on it.
Make sure you lock in. We're going to do some great things. So make sure you lock in with my boy here. And you guys have a great rest of your day and have a good weekend. Take care.
Peace.
All eyes on me, coming out the lead, and it's IP. Ice white shit, and we